So this is a consumer goods company that was struggling with a lot of siloed thinking. So they have a lot of people trying to move very fast, react to a lot of opportunities, but they were struggling with a very traditional type of planning where they're setting, high-level goals at the beginning of the year, kicking off their key projects to track that, and they were taking too long and they were losing a lot of opportunities and some flexibility. So they were looking to experiment with something like OKRs to help them with that alignment. So to reduce the amount of work they were doing at the same time so that they could move things faster, but also to improve their flexibility so they could be more responsive to changes and opportunities that were happening along the way. So as a very large multinational, they're very heavy on processes. They come from very traditional sort of planning and governance environment. Trying to use something like OKRs, which is going to require you to have more clarity, more focus, say no to more things, but also the ability to review and adapt and understand that, goals are what we're trying to achieve, but the journey is what matters along the way. And we're going to be taking deviations and turns along the way, never forgetting that goal. But this responsiveness, this flexibility, this ability to adapt is very challenging for an organization that's used to very formal, rigid yearly cycles. So we started testing out those OKRs, seeing how it works in aligning from top leadership at the business units down to the delivery teams. And based on those results, started scaling it out across other teams in the business unit until after about 6 months, the entire business unit is now using OKRs, or at least everybody is using OKRs, some better than others. And then there is a process of, fine-tuning, follow-up, which can take another 6 to 12 months until everybody starts to feel comfortable with this new way of working and they start to really be able to compare to other parts of the organization and see how well it's working for them. And what happened to them is the realization is, okay, this is good. We want to roll this out into other parts of the organization. I think the main benefit, the one they felt quite quickly, was the idea of focus. So one of the problems they have, and it's very typical in my experience in many large organizations, is when you go down to the team level and you ask somebody, hey, how many projects are you working on right now? And their answer is something like 27, right? And then you're like, okay, no wonder you guys are taking a long time to deliver stuff, like you're doing too much stuff. So by implementing something like OKRs, an immediate benefit is this idea of focus, right? You have very clearly defined objectives, and it becomes much easier to prioritize the projects you want to do against these objectives. Like which one is contributing more? Well, let's focus on this one first. So this idea of focus or clarity on what the priorities are, limiting work in progress, is one of the key benefits that they can see very quickly. One thing I learned is that organizations are already used to talking about objectives. We've been talking about objectives for a very long time, SMART goals and things like that. So when you introduce something like OKRs, it's very easy for people to sort of, okay, I know this, I understand this. One of my tips would be, make sure that you understand why it's different than normal objectives. Because a lot of times when people are used to working with objectives, they assume, okay, I know what it is, I get it. You need to understand a little bit better the idea of objectives, key results, and why they're different than traditional goal setting in an organization, because it's not the same thing. You cannot do an OKR pilot or a real OKR initiative without leadership support. The whole point of OKRs are to generate alignment with the strategy of the organization. So if you're just picking a team and you're going to start using OKR with the teams, you might see, of course, like by just doing good goal setting, you might see some improvements in transparency and focus for the team. But that's not really a valid test for OKRs, right? So when you're trying to do this in an organization, focus on having a pilot where you can get top-down alignments. So maybe a very narrow part of the organization, but really where we can get some kind of senior leadership involved down to delivery teams. Here's where you can really see the benefits of OKRs and how they help with this strategic alignment and flexibility. The third tip I would give is there is no recipe. So there is no OKR framework where you can just pick up a guide and say, okay, I'm going to implement these 10 processes, these 5 rules, and now we're doing OKRs and everything is better. So don't try to copy others. Be very conscious about understanding what OKRs really are, and then adapt that to your context and your needs. And that's going to help you in that adoption.